Welcome into another episode of Full Count Detroit, your one-stop shop for everything Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers are hot. 57 and 34, fresh off a series sweep versus the Cleveland Guardians, an ALDS rematch in Cleveland. Tigers get it done with a dominant pitching staff. We'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about the playoff picture in the AL Central, what the looks like are around there, and how many games back the teams are on the Tigers. And then we'll talk a little bit how Jack Flaherty can really tune it up and maybe get going and start something up here as he's allowed 21 runs in his last 18 innings. And then we'll end the episode with a series preview as the Tigers take on the Tampa Bay Rays this week series for 3 games, 2 night games and a day game. They're starting tonight, but we'll cut it in two. The series recap versus the Cleveland Guardians. The Tigers get game one win. Wenzel Perez and Zach McKinstry both with solo shots. Reese Olson makes his return last pitched on May 17th. Only one earned run and then amazing pitching between Tyler Holton and Will Vest, who was really clutch late when Tommy Kahnle struggled a little bit there in that 8th inning. Holton goes 2.2 innings and gets the win for the Detroit Tigers. In game two, it was a 1-0 win. The Tigers a torque bomb on a Saturday, and Casey Mize shoves. Great outing from Casey Mize. He gets a bounce back, quote unquote bounce back. Not as good as he was pitching earlier in the year, starting to tone that up, and he's really got real dominant outing against Cleveland. In game three, the Tigers, this is where I kind of want to go in depth. Tariq Skubal, amazing outing, goes 7 innings. I don't question AJ Hinch a lot, but bringing Bailey Horn, he doesn't pitch good. He gives Cleveland the lead, and then in the ninth, Tort gets on. McKinstry pinch hits or pinch runs, I should say, and amazing heads up play. Ball squeezes through Bo Naylor's legs. Emmanuel Clase has to come home. Naylor doesn't get to the ball. No play at the plate, and Zach McKinstry steals a run for the Detroit Tigers, takes that game to extra innings, and then Trey Sweeney. Are you kidding me? The 9 hole versus Cade Smith, who dominated this whole series versus the Tigers. Sweeney gets a huge 3-run jack in the top of the 10th to make it 4-1. His first home run of his career off the fastball. Trey Sweeney cranked it off the foul pole. Matt Vierling, that's another first, his first extra base hit of the year in the 10th. And then Riley Green cranks his first hit versus Cleveland on the year, making it a home run. And that made it to 7-1. And our weekend MVP, the pitching staff. The Detroit Tigers allowed 2 runs versus the Cleveland Guardians, absolutely dominating this team. And the Tigers, the pitching staff, it was a bullpen that was struggling. This is a Cleveland lineup that can hit, and we've seen how they can hit. But the Guardians losing, 10 straight in a row. It's just a rough patch for the Guardians. The Tigers really took advantage of that between Skubal's pitching yesterday, Mize pitching on Saturday, Reese Olson, and a little bit of help from Tyler Holton and Will Vest get it done on Friday. It was just a great pitching overall from this Detroit Tigers team, and all the guys who came in and did work and got to it. It was great, but I think there's a lot that goes in when you have an offense, and the Tigers were able to, play good enough offense to get by. A guy like talking Torque and Green, they're both have over 20 home runs over the All-Star game. It's the first guy since Cecil Fielder and Mickey Tettleton in 1993. The Detroit Tigers are having guys, Zach McKinstry, who I think should have been an All-Star and should be in Atlanta. Unfortunately, he's not. He played his first MLB game at first base. This is a versatile Tigers team, and a Tigers team who's just getting it done all around and coming together, and that's why they have 57 wins, and that's why they are right now probably the team to beat in the American League. It's just dominant from the Detroit Tigers. We'll get into who else is around the AL Central. The Detroit Tigers have an outstanding lead on the AL Central. Tigers 57 and 34. The Minnesota Twins 43 and 47. They're 13 and a half games back. The Kansas City Royals 43 and 48. They're 14 games back. And the Cleveland Guardians 10 losses in a row. They are 40 and 48, and they are 15 and a half back. The Chicago White Sox 30 and 60, 26 and a half games back. The Tigers have a commanding lead on that, and it's just a beautiful thing. You can't set yourself up better than that. The Tigers a 13 and a half game lead on the Minnesota Twins in July. Early July. It is 7 days into the month of July, and the Tigers have a commanding lead, which I believe is the biggest lead for anybody on their division. And it is. It's the biggest lead by 6.5 games, where you look at the Mariners are 7 games back on the Astros, And then the Padres are 7 games back on the Dodgers, as well as the Giants being 7 games back. We'll get into the wild card and how that shapes up. The Yankees and then the Rays, they're both a game into the wild card, and then the Seattle Mariners are that last wild card team in. But that's a Rays team that don't look now, but they have been hot and they've kind of cooled off recently. 4-6. The Yankees 3-7, both in their last 10. The Mariners heating up. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and then the Red Sox 2.5 games back. The Rangers 4 games back. The Angels 4.5 games back. The Twins 5 games back. The Royals 5.5, and then the Cleveland Guardians are 7 games back. The Baltimore Orioles are 7.5 games back. This is a team, the Cleveland Guardians, almost being worse than the Baltimore Orioles right now. There's a Guardians team that was 40-38 at one point. They are now 40-48. There's a lot of teams here, and we'll get into a little bit tomorrow with our Trade Talk Tuesday, that could be sellers. And I think, you look at the Royals, they don't have a whole lot to sell. The Guardians, that's a team that who knows if they move off Emmanuel Clase. And there's other teams in here, the Rangers, they're 4 games back. The Red Sox, 2.5 games back, where you have Aroldis Chapman playing his best ball of pretty much his career, really, since he came from Cuba over the MLB. But it's just a blink of the eye, and the Los Angeles Angels could be a playoff team. They're 4.5 games back. The Rangers 4 games back, like I said, and the Twins 5 games back. That little stretch from the Rangers all the way down to the Royals, they are only separated. There's 4 teams there that are only separated by a game and a half, and those are one couple games. Like we've seen the Guardians go from a wild card team to 7 games out of the wild card. When you got the Mariners playing okay ball, but there's a lot of teams who are only playing 500 ball around here or worse, like the Rangers, the Angels, the Twins, the Royals, the Orioles. Well, that's an Orioles team that we know they have the talent, but it's all about if they can put it together and really wrap it around and shoot up for a playoff spot. But what does it for our AL playoff picture? We're going to deep dive into Jack Flaherty and what he's done for this Tigers team. It has not been great, a 4.84 ERA. He is struggling mightily. He's going to pitch on Tuesday, but 21 earned runs in his last 18 innings of work. Jack Flaherty last year was a guy who you could go out and trust with the game on the line. Not necessarily with the game on the line, I should reword that, but a guy you could go out and trust and pitch 6, 7 innings. And he was a guy who was top of the league in strikeouts per nine, and strikeout to walk ratio is a strikeout. He was getting 7 strikeouts every single walk, or every walk that he would record, and now he's only getting 3 strikeouts to every walk he records. A 2.95 ERA last year, 0.96 WHIP, 106.2 innings of work, 32% whiff rate, and a 30% strikeout rate. Both those rank in the top 90th percentile in the MLB. Those were last year's stats. Where is Jack Flaherty at this year? Not anywhere to be found, with almost a 5 ERA and a 1.24 whip, which isn't bad in almost 90 innings of work, but he is struggling. He's going to pitch on Tuesday, and for tonight's game, Monday, we don't know who's going to pitch. It was going to be Jack Flaherty, but he's been pushed back to Tuesday. Shane Baz versus the old undecided Shane Baz, 8-3 with a 4.33 ERA, a whip of 1.25. He's got a really good record for having a high ERA. That just goes to show this Tampa Bay Rays team has really had his back. And 97.2 innings of work. He's out getting quite a bit of strikeouts, but also walking a lot of guys. 97 strikeouts to 36 walks, 16 home runs allowed, 86 hits, and undecided. We don't know who's going to pitch for the Tigers tonight. We could be calling somebody up, or we could have a bullpen game. It is tough to say for the Detroit Tigers what AJ Hinch wants to do, but the Tigers have a 30-14 record at home, and the Tampa Bay Rays are 21-16 on the road. I get into our home run pick before we go a little bit more in depth into the series. The super utility guy. You put him anywhere. First base, first ever in his MLB career last night, or yesterday. He's got 2 games at second base. He's got 34 games at third base. The super utility guy. Put him anywhere on the field. Give me Zach McKinstry to go deep tonight. 5 of his 6 home runs versus left-handed hitters, or left-handed pitchers. Plus, if he needs to and Tampa Bay goes to a lefty in the bullpen, don't be surprised when Zach McKinstry stays in the game and he's hitting almost 300 or above 300 in versus left-handed pitcher. The Tigers are 6-0 when Zach McKinstry homers. If he homers tonight, the Tigers win. And that's what I think is going to happen. The 30-year-old CMU graduate, the super utility, Zach McKinstry gets a home run tonight. I won't go into who will get a home run on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll save that for those days. But on Tuesday, it's going to be Flaherty versus Ryan Pepiot. Pepiot 6-6, Flaherty 5-9. Pepiot's got a lot better ERA with a 3.34, Flaherty with a 4.84, but these are two very similar pitchers in how their seasons have been going. Pepiot, an okay record. Flaherty, not a great record. Not a great record, but it's almost okay. Flaherty, struggling ERA. Pepiot, average ERA. Whip, Pepiot, 1.15. Flaherty, 1.24. Similar whip numbers. Pepiot, 102 innings pitched. Flaherty, 89.1. Pepiot, 85 hits allowed. Flaherty, 74 hits allowed. Strikeouts, 101 for Pepiot, 109 for Flaherty. 33 walks for Pepiot, 37 walks for Flaherty. Both have allowed 16 home runs. Those strikeout to walk ratio numbers and then the home run numbers, those are two numbers to really pay attention to for some pitchers, especially a guy like Flaherty who's been struggling, but he's also getting strikeouts. But those walk numbers have been high. He's been getting behind in counts, and that's something that I think if he gets in front of counts against a Tampa Bay Rays team where you have to get in front of counts, this is a Rays team that is going to make you pay. And you put guys like Chandler Simpson on the base pass, he's stealing second. He's stealing third. He might just steal home. That is a guy who is the fastest player in the MLB by a good amount. Chandler Simpson is going to make the Tigers pay if they can keep Chandler Simpson off the base path. This is a Tigers team that takes away Simpson's game. If Simpson is not on base, the Tigers are going to be fine. If Simpson is on base, he's going to steal bases and he's going to make the Tigers pay. Junior Caminero, he's going to hit the ball. He's going to drive the ball to places. It's a matter of fact, if you can get Caminero out. Aranda, he comes with a 320 average. He's got an OPS of over 800. It's a matter of fact of can you keep them off the base paths. Caminero, he's got okay speed. He's not a threat to steal bases. Brandon Lau, he's going to be an all-star. He's day-to-day. Who knows if he's going to play this series versus the Tigers. Those are 3 to 4 guys that, if you're watching the series, you have to keep your eye on. Chandler Simpson, going to make the Tigers pay. Caminero can drive the ball. It was a guy kind of like Brent Rooker who doesn't come in with a great average. A lot younger version of Brent Rooker, I should say, but doesn't come in with an amazing average, an over-the-charts average. He coming in with a 260 average. He's going to make this Tigers team pay if Flaherty, a guy like Flaherty, has to get out in front of counts. He's getting behind in counts. And when you get behind in counts, you have to pitch strikes. And that's something Flaherty struggled with. And I think Caminero can make him pay. Aranda can drive the ball to different places. He's batting over 320. You have guys on that Rays roster, Brandon Lau. He's a guy who can just put the ball anywhere. Those are 4 guys that, like I said, the Tigers have to keep them off the base path. Lau's a guy who can make you pay running the bases. Simpson, make you pay running the bases. Those other 2 guys can drive the ball. But if this Tigers team pitches like anything they did against Cleveland, this is going to be a fine series. I trust the Tigers offense to go get it done. I think the Tigers can get it done. You gain 3 starts. You got Littell versus Reese Olson. Olson with a 2.89. I think Olson can come out and dominate. If the Tigers can take advantage of Littell's lower strikeout numbers, not great walk numbers, but he's got 24 home runs allowed. And the Tigers in game 3, you come in, you got undecided tonight, you have Flaherty, you have Olson. You're placing Baz, Pepiot, Littell. Littell is a fly ball pitcher. Pepiot, you just got to take advantage of him. He's an okay pitcher. Shane Baz is allowing a lot of runs for having a good record. This is a Tigers team that I think can take advantage of the series. This is a playoff team, and the Tigers can come out of this series with 2 wins, and I think that's a must. You have the Rays, you have the Mariners. The next 6 games, those are 2 playoff teams. The Detroit Tigers, the best team in the American League. They just swept the Guardians. They're going to go out, and I think they can go out and show everyone. And they go out. They win 4 of these games. They're happy. You're a 61 team. You're a 61 win team going to the All-Star break. We'll get into our All-Star break and our All-Star game next week. We'll get into a little bit of the Tigers who made it. Skubal made it. He's the only other additional Tiger to make it. But this is a Tigers team. You take advantage of these games. You get to 60 wins. You get to 61, 62. You're sitting pretty. But going 3-3 this week would be great. Just getting to 60 wins. The Tigers team can take a rest going to the All-Star break. You got 4 All-Stars. But after that, the Tigers going to kick it up. The 60-win team go to the All-Star break. This is a team that's on pace for almost 104 wins. The Detroit Tigers go out, take advantage. They get to 62 wins this week. They're sitting really pretty. That need only 1 loss versus the Rays and Mariners. But that does it for this episode of Full Count Detroit. We thank you for listening to what hopefully is a podcast highlighting the 104-win Tigers. But thanks for listening, like I said. That'll do it for this Monday edition. Join us tomorrow on Tuesday, July 8th, for where we'll dive a little bit into the previous game versus the Rays. Hopefully a win, undecided for Shane Baz. And then we will dive into a little bit of who made it and how Scuba made the All-Star game and how a couple other Tigers have gone out and made the All-Star game. But thanks for joining us on Monday. We'll see you all tomorrow.